Alright, podcast world, are you ready? My name is Brandon Arroyo. This is the Brandon Arroyo podcast. Start the show. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Brandon Arroyo here. This is the Brandon Arroyo podcast. If anybody else was doing this podcast, the name would be inaccurate. You may remember me as the guy that covered your Steelers, your Browns, your Cavaliers, your Bills. You may know me from a little show called Worst Cooks in America on the Food Network. Or maybe you just met me out somewhere. We bumped into laundry detergent together and you were like, oh my gosh, you look interesting. I bet you have a podcast. And I said, yes, enjoy said podcast. Here's the link. However you ended up here, I'm glad you are here because I'm here, and otherwise we wouldn't be hanging out together, so it works out. This is basically how it's going to work with the podcast. I'll give you a few minutes of just saying hello and talking about what's going on in the world. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you're having a good, nice, hopefully not too cold. Up here in Cleveland, it is freezing outside. Literally, it's below 32 degrees, so it's technically freezing. Wherever you are, if you are in Texas, the home of the individual I will be interviewing in just a few moments, hope you're enjoying a nice Texas winter. I'm guessing you guys don't have snow down there as of right now, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they say everything is bigger in Texas. Maybe it's a bigger temperature differential than what I'm aware of. If that's the case, then enjoy that. Enjoy your little bit of snow. Anyway, person I'm going to be interviewing today, I came across her profile because I was doing some, I was watching the movie Jumanji, and I was like, wow, this is a really talented cast. And I'm not just the individuals that, were the main characters once they got into the game, The Rock, Kevin Hart. I was talking about the people that were right there at the beginning, the young actors that were in high school, and then the young actors at the end of the movie as well. And one of them happened to have in their Instagram story a picture of this young woman, or a video of this young woman performing on stage. And I just thought, my God, this girl has an endless amount of energy. Like if the Energizer Bunny put on a blonde wig and thumped its drum across stage, that's what I sort of got put to mind of. But at the same time, like this vibe of smile, like it was almost like if a puppy and the Energizer Bunny were on stage and all of those feels mixed up in a pot and got thrown at you and was like, here, enjoy these feels. That's what this was kind of like. And her name just so happened to be Tiffany Stringer. Now, I reached out and I did some research, and she was kind enough to come and be the first interview back in this world of entertainment, this wild and wacky world where she lives out in La La Land, Los Angeles, California. So we catched up, we did a little bit of chatting, and this is what came out of it. I am Brandon Arroyo. I am a terrible cook, but I do enjoy talking entertainment. Here is Tiffany Stringer. So let's get right into it. So I gotta ask, were you like one of those kids that would be singing around the house and always into music, or did that come on a little bit later?
So I started out dancing. I've been dancing since I was 2, and it all kind of just like spiraled into what it is today. I mean, I guess we're all a culmination of like everything we're surrounded by when we're little, but I started out dancing. I got into musical theater when I was in 4th grade, and then I didn't fully get into on stage performing as like a musician until I was in like 8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade, high school, and that was when I fun fact about me, I was a touring Kids Bop Kid for like maybe a half a year of my life, and I remember going to my mom and I told her, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that was kind of the beginning of it. It's a funny way of happening, but
okay. That is absolutely going to end up on like the Tiffany Stringer fun fact cards in the future.
It's going to come out eventually. Might as well embrace it, you know?
Now, do you have brothers and sisters, and what did they think about this when you first started to really get involved with wanting to get into music?
I do, actually. So I have 2 older half siblings, but my closest sibling is my sister. She's 14 months older than me. Her name is Melanie. And she and I, she's the best sister. We're completely opposite. She's actually a teacher back home in South Lake, Texas. And it's so fun. They've always been really supportive. It really kicked in recently when they've always been supportive, but when I put out Pieces, I think it really kind of opened their eyes. They were like, okay, like, she's going to do this. Like, even my parents were like, putting me in classes and stuff, but they never really thought I would do it as a career, I guess. But they're like, yeah, okay, this is her dream, and they've always supported me 100%. So, I really couldn't ask for a better family.
And I definitely want to talk a little bit about Pieces. Let's go to that real quick. So you dropped that back in August. It's really an empowering song. Was that, for you, when you first heard that song come out, or obviously while you were making it, but when it first was officially released, what was that sort of moment like for you to officially have one song that's out there that you were able to get, really put together like that?
Yeah, actually, it was really scary. So I had been, this has been my dream for a while. Like I said, I've really been committed to it to like 8th grade, but I had a lot of fear, honestly. So that first song was a big triumph for me, because when I put it out, I was like, it wasn't about how it was going to do. It was more so about, okay, I'm doing this because I love it, and I'm just going to go all in because of that. So I put that song out, and it really was just like a breath of fresh air. After that, I was like, okay, now I'm just going to work, because it's a never-ending thing, obviously. But I could finally breathe and be like, okay, now I'm a musician. I have music out there. It's like, I'm not just going around telling people I'm a musician, but I actually have, proof of it in the digital world. So it was a really, really special moment.
Yeah. Do you have any relatives that are in the business, or is this sort of you're taking it on full steam and you don't really have any relatives that have done it in the past?
I don't. I always make a joke when I talk to people about this. My dad tried out for the Texas Boys Choir when he was younger, and that's about the extent of music in my family. Although we do a lot of dancing and singing around the house, but nothing professionally.
So, when you were a young wee lad, Tiff, what were some of the influences that you saw before you got into doing the Kids Bop that you listened to and you were like, oh my gosh, this sounds like fun. I want to get into this.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I wrote out a list because I figured you're going to ask me this, and I never know like what I'm going to say, because I feel like it's always different. But I'll be straight up with you. I grew up on like strictly pop music, and it's not so much like, granted, nowadays I'm obsessed with like No Doubt, Gwen Stefani. I also really love like Katy Perry and just her songwriting. I just love that raw youth. But when I was growing up, I think the first person that really got me, and it wasn't even, I kind of consider myself more of an entertainer than I would, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm a musician, because there's some classically trained, just unbelievable talent in this world. But I had this DVD of Britney Spears, her live concert, and I remember seeing her up on stage, and it was just like, oh, world. She brought you into this, like, every song was a different universe, and that was like really, really cool to me. I remember my parents always tell this story. I would dance on the fireplace to Britney Spears songs, and they thought I was going to be a stripper or something, because I was just like, I was so into these songs, and I'm like, just like throwing pillows and everything. And we have videos of that, and it's, I just love anybody that can take you into a world and, kind of make you forget about where you are, and you kind of get to just be this character for a second and forget about all your troubles and stuff like that. That for me is is what really gets me about any form of art.
Yeah, and it's really your onstage performance that really sort of drew me to your career when I first saw you. So the way I sort of came across your profile, I had been watching Jumanji about 2 weeks ago, and one of the people in there was Madison Eisman. So I was going through the cast of Jumanji and watching their Instagram stories, and Madison Eisman had done a video story from your performance, and I was like, who is this girl? She is... you have this performance on stage where you kind of just take over the stage, and it reminded me a lot of... I had interviewed Mac Miller when he did his first House of Blues show, and the way that he sort of took over the stage was really just reminiscent of how you sort of just take over the stage, and you have this sort of vibe that you put out that the people in the audience can't help but sort of take a part in. Tell me a little bit about just that, what you have like when you get on stage. What's that feeling like for you, and is that really something that you focus on, is that vibe that you have when you're on stage?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate that for you saying that. Mac Miller is an incredible person and musician. So for you even to just have my name in the same sentence of him is really an honor. But as far as that goes, so I'll give you a little backstory on that show. It ended up, I went to go see Bohemian Rhapsody actually last week, and I came out of it to a text from one of my friends, and she said, hey, there's an opening on the show. I know it's last minute, but do you want to do it? And so I came out of this movie after seeing, the stories of Freddie Mercury, and I was like really inspired because I was like, okay, like I can do anything. Like he just made me feel on top of the world. So I agreed to this show, and I was like, okay, I can do this. Like if I put my mind to something, like I can be that. And so I said yes to the show. And then, as days passed, I was like, oh my God, like what did I get myself into? Like I didn't have a band. I didn't have anything ready. I didn't even know what songs I was going to sing, but I was just like, okay, we're going to do it. Like if I committed to it with a, good intention, it means I'm supposed to do it. And so pretty much we got to the show, and not everything could have gone wrong, but a lot of things were just like out of our control. And I was just standing there. I was like, you know what? Like, none of these things matter. Like, it's about me. I'm here for a reason. Like, the world, the universe has put me in this moment for a reason. So I'm going to just fully commit to this moment and just have the time of my life. And do it for these people and, like, let them know that, like, we're just having fun. Like, that's what this life is about. And so when I get up on stage, sometimes I get into my, I'm like in the middle of my second song, and I'm just like, oh wow, I'm on stage. I don't even really know what happened and how I got here. And I just kind of let loose, and I just have to breathe and just enjoy the moment, because like there's nothing more rewarding than just being up on stage and seeing people smiling and having fun. And I think that is just what fuels me in that moment, because when I say I want other people to like kind of just forget about their troubles and sorrows, is that's what I'm doing when I'm up there. It's just like all goodness. So I really try and immerse myself in that feeling.
Quick 5-second plug for you wherever you are listening to this from, whether you're in the gym, I don't know, walking your dog Fluffy, go ahead and check out the social media accounts. I am at Arroyo is Blessed on all social media accounts. Arroyo, spelled Arroyo. Arroyo is Blessed on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check that out. And also, please subscribe to the Brandon Arroyo podcast on your listening devices. This is the first episode. I hope to have you around a lot longer, because I'm going to be around. So otherwise I'll just be sitting here talking to myself. So back to the interview. I believe that when you were younger, you had gone to or through the Hollywood Launch Academy. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Wow. I love them. It's been so long. I actually had a friend from Hollywood Launch just reach out to me over Instagram the other day. So, those are good times. I did a lot of, when I was younger, I would do like summer camps and just different things like during the school year, just so I could stay involved because I just love creating. That was just, I love the friendships I would make through it, and just all the memories I had while doing that. Hollywood Launch was awesome. It was really centered around just like finding what you do naturally, what makes you special, and then just honing in on it. And it was so fun. It was like the first time I had to like, kind of be professional. Like he would be like, okay, you need to have your nails done. And so like, it was just like, stepping into the world of just like, what it means. Like they were always just so focused on being who you are and really just letting the world see that. And so that was I'm so thankful I got to grow up in environments like that because they really celebrated, your individuality. And I think for kids, it's sometimes hard because you feel like you have to fit into a certain group in school, or like, you have to do a certain activity and you have to identify with that activity. But I was really fortunate to grow up in groups that really focused on individuality. And so Hollywood Launch, and I also went to this theater called Live Song and worked at this company called Septian, and they all really celebrated that and made me who I am today. So I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, that was actually going to be the next group I was going to ask you about. So the Septian, tell me a little bit about that, because I did end up seeing a little clip of you on a little show called Channel 47's The Broadcast. Tell me a little bit about that. You were, 16 years old at that point? Was that one of your first times performing on TV?
Is that the one where I'm dressed as Tinkerbell?
I believe you were in a costume, yes.
Yeah. I'm dressed as Tinkerbell for that one. We did a little Halloween special. That one was actually really crazy. I think I've only been on like the news once or twice, and I think that was my first time, and we had rehearsed these songs. I love all those people in that video. They're all amazing artists that have put out music today. You can go find that on YouTube and look them up too. That one. Oh, but I think we sang Radioactive. We did a little holiday mashup. That one was crazy. I remember we had to get there really early in the morning because it was an early morning broadcast, and dressed up in costumes. It was so fun. Just got to be in a little character and celebrate the work we've done. I think it was in promotion for Septian. They were really awesome. They have a master class. They still do that. It's run by Linda Septian, and my vocal coach at the time was W.T. Greer. That was one of my first experiences with it. I think I was really nervous, but once you get in the moment, you kind of just have to step up to the plate and go all out. So, good times.
Now, tell me a little bit about just that first, when you decided that it was time to make the move from Texas to Los Angeles. I've always told people that when you know, like, there's a feeling that you need to be in either Los Angeles or New York, like, you know that you need to be there.
Yes.
Tell me about that and making that decision, because even if you're driven, that's still a little bit of a tough decision to make when you move that far away from home.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of compare it to how it is when I kind of find myself on stage. Like sometimes I'm like, the first song's over, I'm like, oh wow, what even happened? Like we just like were on this high and we just did it. But I was going to school. I went to South Lake Carroll in South Lake, Texas, near Dallas. I had been taken out of that school because I was on American Idol for a little bit, and everything kind of ruffled up. Like I was out of school and everything, so I transferred to this art school. Then I did a semester there, and it wasn't working out. So I was like, you know what? Like I have an option. I can either go back to school, and I knew I was going to be a little behind just with curriculum and stuff, or I can, just start this life that I've always wanted to live. And I really kind of found myself at a crossroad, and I was like, okay, I think that everything's kind of lining up the way it should be. I'm just going to do this. And so that February, I think I came and visited in California, and I had been back and forth my whole life. I have some kind of extended family out here. So I came to visit out here in February, lived with some people for a little bit, got a little taste of what it's like, made some friends, kind of went through my what is this, who am I phase, and I actually met my best friend Madison in that whole time, and I got a job offer at this clothing store. It was like everything lined up. Madison ended up being my roommate, moved out here. And that was when I was like, okay, everything's literally just falling into place. I know I'm supposed to be here. And so I packed up my things in the August of that year, and I was like, okay, we're doing this. No turning back now. I got my GED, and I was like, okay, I'm all in. Let's do this. And that was when I came out here, and best decision of my life. I don't really, I wasn't thinking too much because at the time I was 17, and I don't think my parents were thinking. We were just like, saw the vision of where we wanted to go, and we just headed towards it. And I think that was, no advice could have turned me away from that. It was just all in.
Absolutely.
Put all my cards on the table. Yeah.
And I mean, so I always say that you'll sort of know, like, when you have those moments, like, just like you were saying, I always say GPS means God's plan survives. Like, if he knows where you're going to be going there.
Exactly. And you can resist it all you want. But I really feel like, everyone's like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Like, where do I want to be? And it's like your heart. Like, where your heart is, like, that is your compass. So you can resist things as much as you want, but where your joy is, that is where you are supposed to be. And I think the best way that we can, make the world a better place and leave an impact on this world is by doing what we love, because we love it for a reason, and that's what we're supposed to follow. So that's what I did.
I do want to talk a little bit about what you've been into since you've been to LA, but first I want to get into a little bit of a rapid fire question for you.
Okay. Oh, wow, yeah.
All right. So first off, favorite Christmas movie?
Favorite Christmas movie? Elf.
Favorite meal?
Favorite meal? Pasta.
Childhood music artist that you liked?
Katy Perry.
First celebrity crush?
Oh, I'm thinking of Zac Efron, but I don't know. Actually, yes, Zac Efron. Oh, wow. I can't believe I said that. I'm really committing to it.
Way back. Got to commit to it. First concert?
First concert, Beyonce.
What are you a nerdy fan of?
A nerdy fan? This is new, but I really love Marvel. My boyfriend got me into it, and I am just... I was really late to the game, but I get so excited for those movies to come out. So, yeah, Marvel.
First job?
First job. What was my first job? Oh, Brandy Melville, I think. Actually, no. I think it was Kids Bop. Yeah, Kids Bop. Weird.
Very cool. All right. So we can slow it back down now. You can take a deep breath. Let's see here. Tell me a little bit about what it was like when you first walked on the set of American Idol and saw J-Lo sitting there, because I think anytime you see an icon like that, it can really take you back.
I remember the first time I saw her was literally right about as I was going to go in the room, and she walked by, and I was like, oh my God, she doesn't even look real. Like, she looked like a living, breathing, Barbie doll. It was just, everything was perfect. Her walk, her attitude, her smile, and I was just like, that woman is literally perfect. So,
and when you started singing and you saw her kind of bopping her head, what was the feeling like that you had at that moment? Because she was kind of the first person that reacted to your singing.
Yeah, that moment was crazy. She's so gracious and so beautiful. It was so crazy. I was so nervous, and I hadn't really gotten a hold on what who I was at that point. And the audition was crazy because I'll tell you a little story. Not a lot of people know this, but I went in singing a Jackson 5 song that day. The first song I sang was actually Want You Back by the Jackson 5. And so while I was in that audition, they asked me to sing Want You Back by Cher Lloyd. So by this point, I'm like, I'm terrified because I've already sang a song, and I'm like, what are they thinking? And it was really nice to have them bopping their heads and really enjoying it all. So that was warming to my heart. I love that memory.
Now, okay, so I'm going to ask, when you think back on your time on American Idol, I got to imagine that's something that you think like it just makes you so happy to remember what you went through and how you experienced that. Would that be accurate?
It is. Yeah, it really is. I'm actually still friends with a lot of the people I'm friends with them, all the people that I became friends with on the show. I see them a lot out here, and it's really a family. I mean, it was never one of my dreams to be on that show. Actually, my dad tricked me into auditioning. He is a huge fan of those shows. And we were driving down to New Orleans, which is where I auditioned, and my dad was like, hey, by the way, I got you an audition for American Idol. And, like, we're already on the drive down, and it was lighthearted and fun. I was like, you know what? Like, I'll do it. And it was, like, it was a big, what is the word? Like, it kind of transitioned. It was like, okay, I made it through. It was like, okay, I can actually do this. Like, it gave me a little bit of
affirmation.
It's not, it's not just like my parents being like, yeah, my daughter's great. It was like other people saw it too. And I didn't really know what I was yet. And I was excited and everything. And that was really, really cool. But it was cool to just kind of have people excited about what I was doing. I made friends with all the crew and everything. And it was a really special time in my life.
Quick 5-second plug for you wherever you are listening to this from, whether you're in the gym, I don't know, walking your dog Fluffy, go ahead and check out the social media accounts. I am at Arroyo is Blessed on all social media accounts. Arroyo, spelled Arroyo. Arroyo is Blessed on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check that out. And also, please subscribe to the Brandon Arroyo podcast on your listening devices. This is the first episode, and I hope to have you around a lot longer because I'm going to be around. So otherwise, I'll just be sitting here talking to myself. So back to the interview.
So,
I'm very thankful for it.
Tiffany, we kind of went in opposite directions. You got onto a reality show because you were really good at what you were doing. I got onto Worst Cooks in America because I was a terrible chef. But I know that
I love it.
Once I got eliminated, I was having dreams of being on set for like weeks. When you left American Idol, were you having flashbacks or anything like that?
I don't know. At this point in my life, I was really kind of on just like a forward, like, let's do this. And around that time was when I moved out to California. So it was just like, okay, what's next? I was on like the high from it and just kept going. But there are times, I mean, when the audition came out, there was the parts I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I did that. But, when you're a kid, it's hard to like look back at like things you've done, like, and being like, wow, I was so bold. What was I thinking? And the truth is, most of the time I'm really not. I'm just living. But I feel like those are when the best stories come and you just kind of are in the moment. So I do still have flashbacks of it, and I laugh, and it's all in good fun. So okay. I love that you were on the Worst Cooks of America. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was quite the experience, and I would like to just throw out there to the world that I can cook like 4 things now really well.
Yes, I'm clapping.
Thank you. I'm doing a bow. So since we're in the podcast world, we got to play it out. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. And that was actually my first time touching a fish. I had never touched a fish until I was on that set. So.
I think I still haven't touched a fish. So maybe I'll have you, when you're out in LA, you can come make us a fish dinner.
There it is. It's going to happen. Book it. So on that note, what do you cook for yourself? I know before I went on this show, I didn't know how to cook very well, and I almost burned down my apartment with a Pop-Tart in a microwave. So do you know how to cook, and what is your meal of choice to cook?
Yes. Okay. So I'll start off with a bad cooking experience, just so I can
appreciate
show you
that.
on that. One time, this isn't huge, but I actually have 2 stories. Okay, I'll do this one. One time, I did the classic, started boiling a pan of water and forgot about it, or pot of water, and forgot about it, and I got in the shower and I let that pot boil until there was no water left. it literally could have ended in a complete total disaster, especially because I'm renting. It could have, burned someone else's house down. Gratefully I didn't. But yeah, I've done that on multiple occasions. I just get sidetracked and forget what I'm doing, and then I got smoke in the house. But I guess my favorite thing to cook and make. Oh, I love Trader Joe's. I'm not like an amazing cook. It's pretty easy, but I will make like chicken. We love chicken in our house, and so there's this tiki masala sauce from Trader Joe's, and it's so easy. You just cook the chicken first in a pan, and then you add the tiki masala sauce in, and it is so good. We make it with some Texas toast garlic bread, and that's probably one of my favorite meals to cook at home. It's very simple, pretty much is already done. I just have to do the chicken, but that's one of my favorites for sure.
I'm sure all of my Worst Cooks followers will be able to empathize with the boiling water that got left and evaporated. All right, so back to music real quick. I got to ask, what was the moment like when you first submitted a song to Spotify, to iTunes? Because that's kind of really, a benchmark in someone's career when they first make that decision to submit. What was that like for you?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll give you a little secret. A lot of my Texas people know this, but when I was younger, I had one song put up. It was called Your Distraction. And my parents actually put it up as a present for my birthday. It was literally the first song I had ever written. And, you can only imagine how not amazing that one was. My first try, it was just about this boy back home in Texas. And actually, it wasn't even really. I was just writing about love. I'm just, working that muscle. So my parents actually put it up, and that was the first song I ever put out. I think I was in 8th grade maybe, and it did really well. My whole town was singing it, and they loved it. I mean, I still have people talk to me about it to this day, and so that was my first experience with putting music out. So I got my little trial run in. It's not out anymore. I had my parents take it down because I was just like, come on. But with Pieces, that one was really cool because I got the kind of freedom of making that choice myself and being like, okay, I feel like, I'm going to grow, and, you'll learn new things along the way, but you kind of just got to start where you're at. You can wait till you have everything perfected, but it's really just about showing people your growth, showing people how you feel, and expressing yourself. And so it was just so freeing to be able to make that choice and to have that opportunity for sure.
So you're currently in Los Angeles, Tiffany, and when I saw your video, it really put me to mind of, I'm not sure if you saw Katy Perry's documentary that she had, where she had moved out to Los Angeles and she was sort of jumping around to different labels, and it wasn't quite she was still performing on, the local stages and the local warehouses where she was able to get on a stage. And what I saw from you really reminded me of that, the Katy Perry where she was really just on that verge of that big break. So I want to ask you where you're going to be, in the future. Are you staying in Los Angeles for the start of 2019? Where should we be keeping an eye out for you for future performances?
Yes, I will be in LA. I'm based in LA right now, but I do in 2019, I would love to do a show back home in Texas. And then I also am hoping to do another show out in New York. I got a good response from Pieces in New York, so I'm hoping to make it out there soon. And then I just want to, if I can perform anywhere else, I want to go all over the country. 2019, I actually posted a tweet. I was like, 2019 is going to be a game changer for me and everyone around me, and including anybody that reads the tweet or hears this podcast. We're all in this together. If you're hearing this, you're hearing it for a reason. And I really just want to start building that family of people who have these dreams and have been maybe afraid to go after them, but it's now is the time. There's no better moment than right now if you're thinking of doing something and wanting to be somewhere with your life. It's about just setting that intention and just getting started. So 2019 is going to be the year of just so much music, so much love, so much friendship and good times and performances. And, you know, I want to take this feeling global. And so that's where I'm kind of headed right now. That's my intention. So we're going to get started on that.
Tiffany, thank you so much for being on here. Tiffany, thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, new to the podcast, please go ahead and hit a follow, hit a like, whatever your social media account is. Go to Arroyo is Blessed and hit the follow. Let me know who you might want to see on the next podcast. So grateful to have you here with me today. Whatever you're into, whatever you got going on in life, if you're struggling, know that it gets better. If you're having a really good time in life right now, if you're riding high on the horse, make sure you go ahead and reach out and give a little pat on the back to someone that might need it. You know, because we could all use a hug here and there. You know, if it's a random person at the grocery store, well, I'll walk over into the dairy aisle, give them a hug. Like, oh my gosh, who's this guy giving me a hug? On second thought, don't do that. Don't walk up to a random person and give them a hug. Guys, this has been the Brandon Arroyo Podcast. I'm Brandon Arroyo, and that is the end of the show. I love you. I'll see you next week.